Before I get started, I'll tell you a funny story. We hosted an event, and it was my first event in which I had to cater food. And it was over lunch, so people came in at 10 and they left at 5, and we catered food. And I made the mistake of thinking that a sandwich and salad was acceptable. Yeah, that was exactly the reaction I got. If it wasn't macaroni pie and lentil peas, it wasn't cutting it. And so I've never since catered sandwiches for lunch at all. That is for breakfast. Well, thank you all for having me here. I hope that I don't distract from that delicious meal that you're having, but I would like to leave you with a few things that I've prepared. I've been working with, in partnership with the UNDP and the ministry on the professionalization of youth and young professionals, and those are the things that shaped these discussions and this talk that I'm about to give you today. So my name is Dr. Ty Richardson, and I travel the world for a living doing what some of you do. Now you might ask yourself, is that a career or is it something you just do for fun? And I can tell you that that's how I make a living. That is my actual career. What I'm here actually to talk to you about today is something that's near and dear to me. While I travel the world for a living, I do so primarily building communities of the most driven, best and brightest young professionals in nations like Trinidad and Tobago. I chose this career because I believe that this generation of youth are tomorrow's leaders and decision makers, and their development in today's society is fundamental in determining how they lead. The life lessons they learn are the lessons that will shape the decisions they make, and as such, their development, their minds, and their empowerment are my focus. And as I understand it, especially from the last session, they're your focus as well. I'll tell you a little bit about myself as I get started. So I was actually born and raised right here in Trinidad and Tobago. And while I may have a little bit of an accent, it's because I spent equally as much time outside as I have in. I went to QRC and I did my CXC and my A-level exams. And I started my career here with a Fortune 500 multinational corporation, which I'll tell you more about later. Then I left to go to Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C., I worked full-time while going to school for a bachelor's degree in advertising, and then quickly onto a master's degree in international commerce and public policy from George Mason University. By this time, I had risen to a senior position at American Airlines, a subsidiary, and I was also the chairman of the Business Development Council for the Credit Union National Association in the United States. I was also the founder of the DFW Business Development Roundtable, and founded the first employee resource group for young professionals at American Airlines with over 88,000 employees. That's still in existence today. I was 28 when I got all this done. You heard mention of my last role with American. Now, before leaving American, I took up the position of Regional Operations Manager for Europe and Asia Pacific. I was based in Dublin, Ireland. It was from this role that I decided, as I like to tell people, to retire from corporate America. Not because I didn't like my job, but because I had been living my passion outside of work. I had been designing experiences for people just like me. You see, when I got to Ireland, I wanted to meet like-minded people. The quickest and most efficient way to do that was to create an organization that would use experiences to identify people in the community that were interested in the same thing, and then, acting as a catalyst, engage people who would then develop strong bonds and relationships. The organization was called European Young Professionals. And after being there for 4 years, without knowing it, we grew to 10,000 members in 4 countries, just living and doing our passion. I left American in Ireland, moved to San Francisco, where I spent the next 4 years learning how to build and run a technology company, a social network like LinkedIn and Facebook, so I can build the same thing for young professionals. And out of that, we built YoPro Global, a social network that's based online, and we added the extra benefit of in-person communities that fostered networking. As we started to expand, I brought the team to Trinidad, since I wanted to start the network, and I wanted to restart the communities in the places that I was born. While networking and relationship building is the cornerstone of my career, it's not actually the story that I chose to talk to you about today. Now, when I started, I told you I travel the world for a living. And the questions in your mind might go something like this. Is that a real job? What does it mean, community? How do you know if they're driven young professionals? What do you get out of it? Probably the most important one is, how do I join? Well, over the course of my speech, I'll answer as many questions as I can, and I'll share with you how I came to do what I'm doing. I'll even leave you with 3 takeaways. But here's the thing. I walked into this and I saw that it was a discussion. And so I'm going to make you work a little bit. Now that I know that I'm truly surrounded by the best and brightest, you can't possibly let me do all the talking. Here's the challenge. Once I'm done with my talk, the first person who can correctly identify the 3 core lessons that I want to pass on to you, I'll give you a free ticket to attend a conference that I'm hosting next month on empowerment. September 17th and 18th. It's a 2-day conference.
Yeah, what is country?
No, right here in Trinidad. But the value of the ticket's about $550. And it's a really good 2-day conference. So, you have to pay attention, identify 3 core lessons, and then be the first to tell me at the end of the speech. I'm going to start with the first set of questions that I have for you. Who can tell me without a doubt they really know what they're good at doing, what they're weak at, or how their peers view them? No? No one? One person. Okay, we have one person. As I launched my career right here in Trinidad, I honestly couldn't tell you that I knew the answers to these questions. I did, however, know that I wanted to work for either an airline or a bank. So in my first job interview ever, I applied for, and out of 150 applicants, got a job with an airline. Not any airline, American Airlines. That was the hardest part, or so I thought. It wasn't until I was 21 years old living in Washington, D.C. that I had one of my most pivotal life experiences. I was almost done with school and I was all fired up and ready to take a promotion. In my mind, I had worked hard and I felt that I'd been doing a great job, so I was assuredly deserving of this promotion. I completed my application, turned it into my boss, who looked at me and said, "Really?" Imagine my surprise. And then she looked at me and said, "I think you should get some feedback from your peers and reconsider your application." I was a bit puzzled, but I figured something like this, maybe some networking, would be good for me. I'll be managing these folks soon, so I should pay attention. Thinking that this couldn't be as hard as she made it out to be, I selected some of the most senior folks at American. I mean, some people with like 40 years experience. I selected peer number 1, sat down with her on a break, and if you can picture this, I'm still a 21-year-old, first-generation immigrant to the US, a young whippersnapper, confident and ready to take on the world, asking this 40-year-old senior to give me feedback. I bet you can guess what happened. She laid into me. Looking back on it now, it's a bit of a blur. She used words like slacker, never around, skating, avoiding work, not doing your job, not doing it as it was assigned. Well, come to think of it, it's not that much of a blur. But it still hurts. I took on a second and a third until I made up 5 interviews and I realized I wasn't the superstar that I thought I was. But there was promise. They respected the fact that I came to them and I was willing to listen without defending myself. I took the time to become self-aware by networking with my peers and respecting their honesty. Over the next 6 months, I addressed everyone's concerns, and in the end, I was invited by my boss upon the recommendation of that very first person for that promotion. Over the course of my career, I continued to get feedback from my peers, employees, and mentors to always ensure that I was aware of how I was perceived and what I can do to be more efficient and effective in my communication. I took the time to learn and understand my strengths so I can work effectively in teams and not try to do everyone's job, but ensure everyone on my team was playing to their individual strengths so that we were together a strong team. Strengths are so important, especially so that we're a strong team. They become even better once you find yours, and you can absolutely aspire to delivering on them. But self-awareness is critical. It takes self-awareness as the first step before you can discover what your strengths are. Now, I know that everybody here, having gone through the academic track, speaking of strengths, everybody usually focuses on weaknesses. I mean, how many of you, when you go to school, you come home and parents look at your report card and they say, you did really, really well in this subject, but you didn't do so well in this, so let's focus on this one. It's your weaknesses. How important do you think it is to fix those weaknesses? Not that important? Somewhat important? Not important at all. Very important. Well, I'll tell you one of my weaknesses. It's something that I identified when I was 25 years old. I had been given a promotion at American, moved to headquarters in Dallas, Texas. I had a team of 3 direct reports, and it was our job to build the membership and grow the revenue for one of American's subsidiaries, the credit union. Now you think credit union here, you think, okay, smaller version of a bank. American's credit union was the 6th largest credit union in the United States. In your role, some of you as youth development officers, these are the life lessons that will shape the youth in your communities and empower them to lead others and continue the work that you do. Together, youth work, stories, and empowerment will take shape and become even more recognized and respected than it is today. And that is how a movement starts. Now, before I ask you to tell me the 3 core lessons I shared with you today to win those conference tickets, I'd like to leave you with this. Becoming a young professional has many life lessons. The 3 that I shared with you today all lead me to a saying I believe in. Eleanor Roosevelt, the former First Lady of the United States, said, "Small minds talk about people. Average minds talk about events. Great minds talk about ideas." So always aspire to be a great mind. These 3 ideas, take them. Write your own story down. Write down 3 more, and 3 more, and so on. Until you have lessons you too can pass on to others, as you become more recognized for the work that you do and empower others to take on a more active role in their development. Now, who's ready to tell me my 3 core lessons? Whoa! All right, what's your name? What's your name?
Adana Hughes.
Adana Hughes. Okay, let's see if she gets it right.
Right. So, I think that the 3 core lessons are 1, being self-aware, the self-awareness. The second one that you mentioned, that you kind of baffled me with, was when you were speaking about empathy. And I would say that the second core lesson would be identifying strengths in others that you may not see in yourself. And the last one will be to help others.
Okay, do you guys agree? Yeah? Oh, wait, we have a dissenter in the room? 2, okay. What's your feedback?
The one that she's missing, I think, is to find out who your love is and follow your passion.
Okay, that is
third one. So that's 1. Self-awareness. This is that self you can find in achieving your greater goals in life. And of course, as she already said, focus on your strengths and surround yourself by others who complement and make up for your own.
Okay. Did you have
I didn't say focus on your strengths, like
the strengths of others?
yeah.
Okay. I have a young lady back there. Yes?
That you know.
Well, everybody, well done. In fact, 1, 2, 3. And did you want to add as well? Come on, it's okay.
Well, famous known self-awareness. Second was adding value. And then 3, using life lessons to impact others and empower them.
So all of these were components of the speech, and I appreciate all of you for actively participating. And that perhaps was the biggest lesson, is get involved and take action. I would love all 4 of you to actually see my colleague here, because all 4 of you will get tickets to the event. The actual 3 life lessons were: become self-aware and know how others perceive you. Respect diversity and inclusion, leverage other people's strengths when working in a team, and always add value first. Thank you guys for taking the time to have me. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and I thoroughly encourage what you do. Please enjoy the rest of your lunch.